Real. Welcome to real estate, the world's loneliest career, where you're always out of balance, unfulfilled, the role models are fake, the numbers unattainable, and you're just supposed to be and do it all. Join self-made millionaire real estate agents, wives, moms, and business owners as we level up, learn from special guests, and elevate and disrupt an entire industry through real education our way.
Oh, it's Tuesday. Look at this squish.
He's so adorable.
I know.
Do I have one white paw, or is it just
one white paw.
Oh my god.
I know. I have no idea what his face even looks like because he has
the same hair. I love it.
I said the same thing. I was like, I think I'm bonded to this dog because we both have crazy hair. So they were like, you have to groom him. And I was like, I know, when I brush my hair, I'll just brush his hair too. It'll be fine. Anyways, I adopted a puppy last night. Madness. But okay, it's Tuesday and we are here literally like 8-9 days away from Christmas. And like 3 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks away from a new year. I can't even. It's crazy. How are you feeling about the new year coming before we jump into things? How are you feeling about the last 6 months of 2022 and going into a new year before we jump into?
I think I'm ready to wash my hands of this year and start over fresh.
That is exactly how I feel. Like the calamities, I just made a Facebook post about it, that have happened to me in the last 2 weeks alone that resulted in me needing to adopt an emotional support puppy, which doesn't make anything easier. Like this year has been, it's been a lot. I mean, it's just been nonstop from, the market's doing this to the market's doing this to the market's doing this to the market's doing this. And then now all of a sudden today I read an article. Hang on, I'll read you the headline. Bloomberg. Fed promises they are headed for 4.5 to 4.75 interest rate by early 2023. So basically, I kind of feel like personally, the last 6 months of the year was just like, let's fuck with you. Let's just push your button.
Exactly. Let's remind you how much you hate what's going on right now and how much power we have, right?
Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know what? Remember how last spring was fucking wild? We're going to do that shit again.
Mm-hmm. But in a different way, because if we did it the same way, you might know how to react. So now we're going to, bamboozle, fuck with you in a completely different way. But yeah.
I swear, I feel like they have a bowl of bullshit responses at their office, and they just randomly pick one. You know what? If we add this to it, we'll mix that shit up, and then this will happen. Like
a hat where they throw in things ways we can mess with people, and then they just pull out responses. Yes.
And then somebody comes into the office that was on vacation when all this shit happened, and they come back in and whoa. You guys fucked it up. You gotta fix it now. So here's what we gotta do to fix it.
It's just absolute insanity. It's pandemonium. I feel bad for myself, but I feel really bad for people that are new to this industry because we've been talking for a long time about the market we've been in the last couple of years not being normal. We've tried to tell all the agents that. We've tried to tell, all the clients that. It kind of reminds me of 2008 when, right before 2008, 2005, 2006, and all these people had just gotten into the business and they were like, real estate's freaking awesome. And then there were all these old timers back then, which now are the old timers, and they were like, you just wait, it's gonna change. And now now we're the old timers, and we've been saying that the last couple of years. But I mean, that wasn't normal, but still, this is not normal at all. I mean, this is the fastest historical rise in interest rates ever in the world. It is absolute pandemonium. And if they're really going to bring rates back down to the 4s by early 2023, we're just going to go wing. I don't know. Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen.
I feel like somebody has to swoop in and be like a Superman to like make everybody forget about this last 6 months. And then all of a sudden they're like a hero. And then lo and behold, election happens. And people are like, I don't remember it being shitty. I just remember 4% interest. It's awesome. This is the best time of our lives. Yeah. You guys don't remember when gas was $5 like last year?
No.
Like, that's what this is. It's like, look over here. Forget about that.
And then there's really going to be all these people, if that really happens, that are going to be like, we married the house, we dated the rate, woo! And those people really will have won. And I'm not really sure like how the public finger quotes doesn't understand that the people who make money are the people who invest in any type of downward shifting market. But
yeah,
whole
I
different.
feel like people are definitely missing the boat. I'm not as busy right now as I normally am the end of the year. Like I'm not getting as many phone calls, but I'm still pretty busy. I have seen a lot of agents already post their like I'm on vacation type posts. Like I don't know how you can do that. I really don't. Like I wish I had that, but I don't. Like I'll be working right up until Christmas Eve, and then I'll start working again on December 26th. So that's just how I am. I've always been like that. Because that's when I get busy. Like if I'm on vacation, I wasn't going to go on vacation this year, but we are now. So I look forward to getting really busy in the next 3 days because that's usually what happens. So
I booked the vacation as well. So
yeah,
we're going to get slammed with business. If you ever, need to be busier, book a vacation. It happens.
But I think it's really difficult as agents to like try to give guidance to people because it's like you've got all this conflicting information coming from all kinds of different places. And you almost have to go with your gut and say, look, no one knows what's going to happen. Here's what I think is going to happen. And if that happens, here's what my game plan would be. But if this weird thing happens, this is what my game plan would be. I feel like you have to come in with a bunch of different options for people and let them decide. You can't just say this is going to happen because you're going to be wrong.
You have to be Ross on Friends. Pivot. No, I totally agree. I mean, it's way too unpredictable right now to guess anything that's going to happen. Yeah. It's making it really tough to tell anybody what to do. Which we shouldn't be telling them what to do anyways, but it's making it really difficult to advise people. But yeah, I mean, it's been brutal. Like, can you imagine if the market, if we really go back down to 4s in rates by the beginning of the year? So for anyone listening that doesn't understand, agent or consumer, what has caused this slowdown? It was like a hard stop for maybe like 30 days, and now it's kind of started to trickle back up, but it was rising rates. It was the fastest rise in interest rates historically ever in the entire world by any country. And that combined with how high prices have gotten over the last couple of years has caused like literal pandemonium really, really fast in almost every part of the country. Well, what has not changed? Anything, literally, not one thing except for interest rates is the only thing that has changed. We have not gained more inventory. In fact, inventory is down substantially from where it was last year because nobody's moving because they're terrified of interest rates. Nothing has changed. So like the minute that happens and rates go back down and buyer confidence comes up, I can't imagine that the market doesn't
rebound again.
Yeah, I don't want to say skyrocket, and I don't even know what rebound is because we know the last several years haven't been normal. But I definitely think it will be substantially busier than this, and we could see going back to some kind of multiple offer over asking scenario. Yeah, I mean, you could be talking, right? Like I sent an email last night negotiating on a property with an obscene amount of data in it, like the percentages of every single listing that's under contract and is sold in the last 30. I went crazy on it. And I think I'm estimating Denver is down somewhere between 3 and 10%, depending on the type of house and area.
Yeah.
So, if we trend downwards, we continue to trend downwards. A lot of economists said that they thought we would see 20% down by middle of next year. But then if we go back up, because rates go back down again, like you could be talking about swings of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like we're not talking 5, 10, 15 grand. You're talking $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in some markets. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we literally are watching the builders panic, like freak out.
And fire.
They always do at the end of the year anyway, but it seems like right now they are having like a panic attack. Like they are just all going to therapists every day and just trying to figure out like, what can we do? Because we're sitting here with a shitload of inventory that we weren't expecting to have, because all of these houses were started before this all happened. Most of these houses that are now done, people can't qualify for because the interest rates went way up. And now the builder's like, oh shit, now I got to take a massive pay cut or wait it out. So now they're trying to balance that. Do we wait it out? Do we just take a massive pay cut? So I think that, you know, they would love to have a market where interest rates are back up to, or back down to like a normal 4.5 or whatever.
I mean, I feel like every single, okay, let's think about that for a second. I think every person on planet Earth would rather have the market that we've been through the last couple of years minus buyers. And I can't imagine that the buyers aren't all going to turn around in the middle of the year next year and go like, why didn't I buy when I could have got the house for $100,000 under, instead of now I'm paying that $100,000 back plus $100,000 over, right? I mean, going back to your original point, I have no idea. It's the first time in my whole career where I've been like, I don't know, what the fuck do you think is going to happen? Because I literally don't know. But what I do know is that nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is interest rates, and therefore, if nothing else has changed and interest rates go back down to what they were, why wouldn't we see the same kind of market?
Right. I think the number one thing that you're going to see the second interest rates drop are a massive rise in refinances.
Oh, yeah.
For people that have basically been living on credit cards for the last 6 months. Because not because of interest rates, they're already in their house, but because the cost of goods and services has gone way up. You've got Christmas in there. So people tend to overextend themselves around the holidays. And when most people will be refinancing right now, they're not. Mm-hmm. Because it's like a lateral move. Like they're refinancing.
I think that someone should write that down with your name under it as a quote, because I didn't think about that, but that's so right on, because everybody's equity positive, even now, by far. So they're sitting on cash. They're sleeping on their cash. Like they're sleeping on their bank account basically right now. I just read a statistic the other day that said like almost 20% of all vehicles that were sold in the last 2 years are already in repossession.
Yeah.
So like, I totally think you're right. If rates go down, people are going to refinance, pull out cash, do a cash out refinance and pay the stuff off that the last couple, how can we get in so much trouble in 6 months?
Because so many people live paycheck to paycheck. One small thing will make a massive difference to somebody. If you're one paycheck away from not being able to make your payments, like there's an issue, and that's normal for Americans. It's like a normal thing. But when, the price of gas doubles, when the cost of food is so expensive, those things are going to cause people to not be able to make their payments. And, we're seeing it every day with our lenders. Like lenders are going out of business left and right now. And one of the reasons I feel like is contributing to that is their refinance business is like gone right now. And when they normally would be doing hundreds of thousands of refis, they're not doing any. It's not a good time. So I feel like people are doing, different things instead of refinancing, cashing out equity and buying another house with it, like another investment property. They're doing a hard money loan and just not refinancing a house and cashing out equity. They're just doing hard money and then buying it that way instead of using a lender, a regular residential lender.
Yeah, so it's I think you're dead on with that. I think that everyone is sleeping on what is their savings right now. And so they're going to potentially have to dip into that in order to make it through this rough season. And I mean, NAR, National Association of Realtors, said they estimated up to 600,000 real estate agents could go out of business within the next year. And that's so sad to me. Like, if you could just hang in there. I mean, that's what we're going to talk about today. You got to pivot in general. It doesn't matter what happens with the market next year. If you haven't already started to pivot, you have to do it right now. And like Angela said, you've got to be ready to pivot back again if that happens next year. You got to be really fluid right now and open to change. But like, that's so sad that many people could give up on a career that they could potentially be really good at or love just because there's this like 6-month cycle. When we went through the Great Recession, you and I both worked during those times. That was a market cycle of years, which is what is typical when you see a recession. This is like the weirdest thing on earth. Some people are calling it a more dramatic recession than the Great Recession, but it's going to be a 6 to 8 month, 12-month max cycle. That's really weird.
You know, like when I listen to that, what I hear is 2 weeks to fix that curve, to slow the curve. I'm like, how long is it really going to last? I feel like we're going to keep seeing effects of it for months down the road. I feel like a lot of, well, at least some of a reason why some folks haven't opted to sell their homes recently is because, normally when they would be thinking about, doing an addition under their house, refinancing to cash out equity to pay for that kind of thing, right now they're just trying to survive. So they're not even thinking about, do I stay in this house and refinance it and fix my bathroom, or do I sell my house?
Mm-mm.
That kind of business has been, a lot of my business. And I think a lot of those people have just decided to stay put. So
yes. Yeah, because I think they have to. Or, there also seems to be this like pervasive sentiment out there of, if I just wait, the market's going to drop another 10, 20, 30, 40%, which, like, again, at this point, no one knows what's going to happen, but I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening even if they don't lower interest rates again. I think that we overreacted really, like the whole last 4 years has been like overreact, overcorrect, overreact, overcorrect. I think that, again, we overreacted. We way overcorrected. The rest of the world, I don't know how, like, who follows this stuff, but like our rising interest rates in the United States are crushing the rest of the world. World leaders from across the rest of the world are literally begging us to lower our rates. And I think we're going to have to, because we're crushing other major and smaller world economies. So I don't see this becoming that significant, whether or not they bring interest rates back down, just because none of the other indicators or factors for the real estate market have changed whatsoever at all. People still need to buy and sell houses, even in the worst, even during the Great Depression, the worst times of the whole world. And I think what we've slipped is probably pretty close to where we're going to go. We're heading into January. We know January through April last year, March is the busiest time of the whole market. So that should give it a little pop in itself. Like, I just don't see us going. Do you?
I don't either. I think that this 10% is probably the most that we're going to see. I do believe, I don't know if it's because I'm willing it to happen, but I do believe January 1st, we're going to see a big change back to, I don't want to say the way things were, but back towards, that pendulum swing towards a seller's market again. I know that something big that we're waiting on here in Colorado Springs, and pretty much any military-driven economy in the country, is the pay raise comes out January 1st for military. Like, we want to know how much people can now afford because they get their annual raise, which sometimes it's nothing. With the amount of inflation that we've had, it should be pretty freaking significant. And that, coupled with a rate drop, might give people the buying power that they didn't have before to change the price point. Because right now, our prices all went from you can't get shit for under 400 to now you can buy kind of quite a bit for 290s. When did that happen? And it's not a crack house? That's so weird.
In 12 days, that happened literally overnight.
12 days. Yeah. So I think that people now are holding out and waiting for that to come back up, that wave to come back up, because they're looking purely at interest rate and monthly output instead of price of house. So I think that you're going to see prices of houses raising significantly again. And for the first 3 months, I think we're going to have major appraisal issues down here again, while the appraisers pull their head out of their ass and figure out what's actually going on, because they're not selling houses. They don't know. But I think that after that, we're going to kind of be like March, April, we're going to be back to like that, busy season, if you will, of what Colorado market in Colorado Springs is like. So.
Yeah, I totally 100% agree with you. It's going to be a really wild year. So I just hope everyone straps on their safety pads and gets ready for it, because it's going to be bizarre. So I was at a conference last week and I heard someone say this, and I've kind of been thinking about it nonstop. He said, I can guarantee you that 2023 will, without a doubt, without a question, be your biggest year ever. The question is whether it will be your biggest year of failure or your biggest year of success. And I thought that was really interesting because, in this business, we are in a very unique position. I'm not sure how many other industries or businesses out there are where you truly are in direct control of your income. Now, obviously, market conditions, world stuff can dictate that your income goes up or down, but your output in our business directly relates to what you receive as far as an income. So, if we get scared, hide in the closet, go on vacation, run away, don't do the things that we need to do to be ready to be the best next year, it very well could be people's worst year ever. It could be people's year that they get out of the, I mean, you're going to see agents potentially who have been in this business decades leave. Good agents, right? Like not like I've been in the business for 30, like good people, because they're either tired or they're sick of it or it's too emotional or they can't do it financially. So I just think it's really important to figure out how to get our minds right and activities right for what to do going into next year. So what are you working on right now? It's almost the end of quarter 4, almost Q1. What are you working on to make sure you're ready for next year?
I'm building a lot. We're building a lot of systems and stuff to grow our various companies. I'm sure you guys all know I have a home building company, Revolutionary Homes, and staging and design company, 719 Staging and Design, as well as owning a real estate brokerage. So 719 Staging and Design has kind of taken off and we're growing huge. And Revolutionary, I'm trying to grow slowly. But 719 has gone a little crazy. So sometimes when that happens, you have to figure out a way to grow quickly. So I hired a lot of people. We have a whole nother team of stagers, and I hired somebody to be a new ops manager. So we've got a lot going on over there. So I'm building. I know a lot of people are kind of scared and they're trying to save all of their money, which I'm sure my husband would love if I saved more money. But I don't. I'm a builder. That's what I do. So I'm replacing myself on that business with someone else so that I can build the other businesses. So that's what I'm doing.
Hiring in a finger quotes recession is very brave. I don't know how many people are out there doing that. That's another massive reaction that I kind of don't understand. And I'm not just talking about real estate here, every industry. Like, why did we just go through COVID where we ended up with all these labor and supply chain shortages because we laid off and fired too many people too quickly and overreacted? And now the market is weird for 6 to 8 months and we're laying off again everybody and overreacting. Like it just keeps continuing this insane cycle that we've been through. But yeah, I mean, that's really brave. Do you want to talk about how you manage stress or fear? I know you are very brave and very bold, but or how other people could manage stress or fear about hiring someone, or it doesn't have to be hiring anybody. It could be let's talk about fear of spending money on anything, whether it's that class that you wanted to go to, the convention that's next month in Vegas, whatever, a designation that you feel like you want or need to take, hiring a VA for a couple $100 a month. How do you, or how does someone deal with when everyone in the world is saying, back off, pinch your pennies, go back to eating canned green beans? How do you deal with building and expanding?
I mean, first of all, I ate ramen noodles last night for dinner because I chose to, but I'm not going out to eat as often. I'm prioritizing what I'm spending money on. I'm putting money only into our businesses. I'm not spending money on me. Christmas is very different this year as opposed to what it was in years past. We decided to go visit Josh's family in Ohio. So if there's any agents near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base that want to come visit me for Christmas, we will be there. And I would love to get away from family. Yeah, I mean, just changing your spending habits. Like I said, I'm putting everything that I have into our businesses to grow them instead of, buying myself some shit that I don't need. So I think that's one of the major ways that I'm not as nervous. I know that, I'm probably, if I'm involved, it's not going to fail. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be successful. And if that means I work doing different things more often, I'll do that. So I'm not really that worried about that kind of thing. I know a lot of people stress about being able to put food on their table. I just know that I trust myself and I will always find a way. I've got a ton of people that depend on me to make sure that I'm successful so I can pay their bills. I can pay their paychecks. So that's a lot of stress on me, but I've been doing this now for so long, I'm used to it. And if I don't have that stress, I don't really know what I'll do with that. You know, I'm just kind of accustomed to it, and that's normal for me. You know,
So some people would probably hear that and make the argument that this is easy for you because you've done this job a long time. You've made a good amount of money. You probably have billions of dollars in your savings account. I mean, that isn't the case, right? For everybody. Like, you know, it isn't just hiring, investing in yourself, in your career. It's never easy. You know, I think that, again, we're in one of the weirdest businesses in the whole world. Our potential to earn a high income is so massive with pretty much zero investment except for your time. And, you know, then your business gets to a certain level where you have to invest, and everybody freaks out. And I can't tell you how many agents I've seen like pull back on their careers because they're terrified to make an investment in themselves. Like, what kind of business, and hear that, business. What kind of business in the world can you name besides real estate where you don't have to go to school for 10 years? You're not walking out of it with multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loans. You don't have overhead, operating costs, office space, employees, all that stuff from day one. Like, how can you expect to keep growing your business if you don't invest in it at some point?
Right. Yeah,
I don't know. It's scary, but
yeah, I think that it comes down to, you have to remember that you are a commissioned only salesperson at the very end of the day. And every day that you wake up, you are unemployed. And if you understand that and you embrace that every day, you're going to work a hell of a lot harder. You know, if you know when you start the day how much your bills are for the month and you're not making that happen, like you're not clearing that, that's on you. Like, you have to do what it takes to be successful. And, you know, if you add an extra couple $1,000s in salary, then you need to figure out how to cover that. But with adding that person, you're going to have a little bit more free time to do other things. So if you're just sitting around on your ass and not doing anything, then yeah, of course, you're probably not going to make that. But there's so many things that you can do in this industry to make more money for yourself and for your family and to have a little bit more stability. You know, I can literally think of like 15 things that I could go out and do right now that would make me an extra 10 grand this week. You know, like you can do that in this industry, and that's pretty wild to me.
you can.
When agents are failing, it's because they're not doing the right things anymore. They're getting complacent. The fear is taking over. But I don't have that fear, I guess. And so maybe that's a blessing to me. You know, I am getting more, I guess, religious, you could say, the older I get. You know, I do pray quite a bit. And I think that has always helped me. I know that it's not me at the end of the day that's providing for my family, that it's somebody above me that's saying, okay, we'll make sure that you're taken care of as long as you're doing the right things. And so for me, that's been a saving grace, I guess, you know, like just knowing that there's going to be food on my family's table. We might not be able to go out to a steakhouse every night this week or something. I might have to cook this week. That's not a big deal. But that I'm always going to be, you know, taken care of and provided for, always helps me. So I don't know. What about you?
I love that. And I feel the same way and do the same thing. Yeah. I mean, I honestly, like, I can say, I don't really know how we got on the subject of hiring, but anytime I've ever, and again, not just hiring, anytime I've ever invested in myself or in my business, it's really returned. And on the subject of hiring specifically, it's actually really good to have some skin in the game and to have a reason besides just yourself to get up every day and not eat hot tamales and Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Netflix all day. Does anyone else eat hot tamales and Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Me. So, you know, like, it's not a bad thing to have something to be responsible for or something to hold your feet to the fire, something to motivate you. Like, I think that's maybe one of the biggest things that people are struggling with right now. We just came off a few years that were a totally different kind of hard, but very hard and very emotionally draining and exhausting nonetheless. People are tired. They thought they'd just coast this year. They thought just, you know, have a nice holiday season and they'd go back to doing whatever they normally do on January 1. Well, it's not shaking out like that, you know? So I think that everybody just feels really off and vulnerable, which, like, no one wants to go into a new year feeling vulnerable. You're supposed to feel powerful with your resolutions and all the stuff that you're going to do to change the year, you know? So I'm I'm doing the same things I've always done. I'm doubling or tripling down on my activities. At this point in my career, I am lucky enough to know what works. We've done a ton of episodes on this show that you can go back and listen to in the archives with us and other way more smarter than us agents from around the country that teach you how to do those activities for free, by the way. Like, if you don't jump in the podcast like before the end of the year and listen to every episode that we have, that's kind of a shame on you, I feel like, because there is, like, we do this for free.
Right.
We're not the coolest people in the whole world. We're not saying that, but like, we do this for free because we love our agent community and because someone helped us at some point, and so we want to help. And we are, have the heart of teachers, but like, there's an incredible amount of knowledge. Like, the stuff that I have learned that has changed my career since we started this show 3 years ago is insane. So if I feel that way, everyone should go back and listen. And there's 1.5 million podcasts out there. Like, that's what I'm doing, I guess. To simplify it, is I'm trying to control as much of my environment as possible, because there are way too many variables that are out of control right now and in the future. So I'm trying to control everything. I'm not in deep of relationship with toxic or crazy or super negative people. I can't listen to them. It makes me run to the basement and find my tinfoil hat like fast. I'm not watching the news. If something really bad happens, I'm going to find about it from Facebook, like right away. I'm not in these Facebook groups that are negative. I'm blocking stuff, ignoring stuff, snoozing stuff. I'm listening to way more books, way more podcasts. I'm trying not even to watch like scary or upsetting stuff in my Netflix binges. Like, I turned off a show the other day because like I was getting stressed and anxious and upset watching it. Like, I don't need that right now. I need to be safe right now as much as humanly possible. So I'm watching like stupid shit because it's cute, and Hallmark movies are great this year. Go watch that. But I mean, I feel like that's what I'm doing, is simultaneously doubling, tripling down on the same activities that I've always done. And I am trying to control as much of my environment as much of what I'm taking in as possible.
Yeah.
So Alexis, hi, says, I get scared and freaked out that I'm going to fail. And then I freeze and I just don't know how to pull myself out of that fear. Raise your hand if you've been there. Everyone in the comments should comment. Yeah, I've been there. Dude, Alexis, I was there. Okay, let's be honest. I've been there like this week. I was there, whether it's personally or professionally. I've been there probably 20 times this month. I've definitely been there many times over the last 6 months since all this started, right? So something that has always helped me is knowing that that's pretty normal. It doesn't really seem to matter how high you get up in this career, how much business you're doing. That fear is always there. And a lot of people will look at people like team leaders or people who own big teams or own big businesses doing tons of work and say they must not be afraid because they're solvent, but that's not the case. The more people that you add to your payroll, the more support you add, the more things you're doing, the more cars your family has, the nicer houses you're living in, right? It's like, it's a machine and you have to keep feeding it. And you wake up every day even more afraid of how you're going to continue to feed it. So it does help me to know, if you're listening to someone on stage or on a podcast and they tell you they're not afraid, they're fucking lying. It does help me to know that everybody is afraid. But yeah, I mean, I can relate to this massively. Angela, what do you do to pull yourself out of stuck or fear?
I feel like that fear of failure will paralyze you, and that will be the thing that causes you to ultimately fail. Being scared and being afraid of failure is one thing, but trusting yourself and knowing that you have always 100% of the time pulled yourself out of that your entire life. You have never allowed yourself to fail to that point. You need to figure out how to, get out of that and go back to doing what you were doing before. Usually what's happened is your habits have changed. And figuring out what those habits were that changed and why all of a sudden you're no longer as busy as you were. You have to figure those things out so you can go back to doing that again. And do not let that fear of failure paralyze you, because you're going to look back on this in a few months and be like, okay, I was scared that day. And here's what I did to, not let it bother me. I personally don't even think about it anymore. Like, I will wake up in the morning and I might be afraid in the morning, And then I just push through it and act like it's not there, and I push it away. And if I let that creep in and, enter my thoughts around lunchtime, like, it's going to fuck up my whole day. Like, I won't do that. Like, I will let myself have 5 minutes of feeling sorry for myself and being afraid, and then I will leave it alone and go to work. And then if it creeps back in later on, I push it away. Like, if I've already done my job for the day, I'm not going to continue to feel like that. I'm not going to put that on myself anymore. It's too much stress and I don't need it. I've got other shit to focus on. Trust me, I've got like thousands of things I can focus on that have nothing to do with that fear. I don't have time to be afraid anymore. I just don't.
And I want everyone to know I've known Angela for 20 years. She was not always that way.
Yeah.
She's always been probably extraordinarily brave, but not to this level. So what she's talking about is conditioning herself and creating habits to get to that point, right?
Yeah.
And Alexis, this is an incredibly vulnerable and brave question to bring up. Thank you so much for that. And I think so many people feel this right now. I love what you said, Angela, about if you're not feeling confident, if you're not feeling safe, something in your habits have changed. And that can be so small, right? Like I am seeing people say things or, talking about things like, I'm doing the things, I'm making the calls, I'm talking to the people, I'm doing the things, but I still feel like this. Then there's something else that's out of alignment.
Right.
And you are a human being. You don't live in a fear vacuum. Like you're never going to be totally void of fear. That is impossible. But I think you're totally right. If you take a look at what's happening, it can be anything. Like it could be as simple as like eating like crap. And that makes you have really big sugar highs that make you feel shaky and anxious. Like it could be like anything. It could be the people in your life, how you're spending your time. Are you going to an office? What does your workspace feel like? Like literally anything. How much sunlight do you get? Like all those things. But there's something in what you're doing that feels out of control, and out of control feels really scary. And so I think, you have to try to control as much as you possibly can. And just know that this is a time of fear and unease.
Yeah. I feel like fear is a crazy thing. It's a weird word, right? So people can either become consumed by fear and let that paralyze them into not being able to be the person that they want to be, or they can let it drive them and embrace the fear and grow from the fear and let that drive your business. And, being afraid to fail is not necessarily a bad thing. You just need to change your mindset around that fear and let that drive you and propel you forward instead of paralyzing you. I just feel like that's one way that all of us agents can, grow from that and get past that kind of thing. I think that I've just gotten good at it by now.
Many, many years ago when I was facing like a really scary personal decision, a therapist gave me this book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways. I'm going to put that up in the chat. If anybody can't get that book and wants it, let me know. I'll get a copy for you. But that book changed my life. And it does talk very much about how fear is normal. You're never going to be able to get rid of it. All you can do is try to balance it and control it as much as possible and feel the fear and do it anyways. And yeah, that was a big life changer for me. But and what is failure? Like, let's talk about that for a second. I have failed, like fat out fucking failed in my life before. Haven't you?
Oh yeah.
Like failed. Like I've started businesses that sucked up tens of thousands of dollars that did not return one penny. I've ruined relationships. I've had relationships fall apart and fail on me. I've not been able to pay my bills. I've been a single mom. Talk about the Christmas season. Like my very first year with my son, like I literally had to borrow a Christmas tree from a friend that had too many of them in their house because I didn't have money for a tree. And they very kindly loaned me the Christmas tree and all the decorations. It's the ugliest tree. Saw a picture of it the other day and it's such a fond memory, but it's such an ugly tree. But, I lived in this tiny, crappy apartment. I had to take a second job, working at the Santa photography place at the mall near my house just to pay bills. I mean, I have like failed.
Mm-hmm. I think that part of the difference, though, is those things that you see as failures were actually stepping stones for you. they were reminders that you don't ever want to go back there, and it helped drive you and propel you forward. And I think that that's a main difference between the D personality. Like those types of things are just stepping stones for us. Those failures are education. We've learned a ton from them, so much that we're not going to go back there. But I think that that's something that, you know, is a huge blessing, is those small failures that propel you forward, because you're never going to go back to that. You're not going to let yourself.
I also think, and I really truly believe this, and it may sound cheesy, but I believe this to my core. Gratitude is the opposite of failure. Courage is not the opposite of failure, because courage is, I don't even know what that means, right? Like gratitude. It's impossible to be thankful and excited at the same time as afraid, right? So like for me, when I'm in that place really deeply, I try to step back and think about all the things that I'm really grateful for. You know, I will literally lay in bed at night and lay in bed in the morning for a good 20 minutes before I fall asleep, or when I first wake up before I do anything, and just list out all the shit that I'm thankful for. And I'm not joking you. I have had days that are so bad, many days over the last couple of years that are so bad that like the only thing that I can summon to be thankful for is that my sheets are really cool and soft. And so I'm like laying there in my bed and I'm like, I have a comfortable bed. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much for the bed that I'm sleeping in. Dumb, but it helps, you know? And there's something too about when I confront those failures that I've had, I'm not that afraid of them anymore, because I could go back to that and know it wouldn't break me.
Right.
I could go back to eating ramen noodles. I eat them all the time too. I love them. I could go back to eating ballpark hot dogs, right? Like I could go back to doing any of that stuff. I could go back to living in a smaller house, driving a shitty car, any of that, because I know what's in my life that is meaningful, that I'm grateful for. And it's none of that.
Yeah.
None of that. So if you can spend time thinking about like, I'm in fear, but my family is safe. I'm in fear, but my kids are good. I'm in fear, but you know, whatever, the sky is blue today, any of that, like that really helps me too, because I just think it's impossible to be so afraid and grateful at the same time. Because what you're really afraid of is that you're going to lose everything you're grateful for.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I think being really honest with yourself after you've had a shit day, I don't want to call it a failure day, but you can have a shit day, but you need to be honest with yourself about what you actually did that day and what you checked off your list and how you did it. You might just check stuff off your list to check it off instead of, you know, actually doing the best you possibly could. I guarantee you, if you do your best every single day for, you know, 2 weeks and you don't see anything progress-wise, that's not going to happen. You're going to see some kind of progress if you're putting it all out there. But where I see myself having a shit day is when I don't do those things on my list to the best of my ability. And I have to be honest with myself and say, okay, this is why I failed today. It's because I didn't do what I was supposed to fucking do. Or I didn't want to.
100%.
But you can have one shit day. You can't have 10. You have to fix that. And that's a really easy way to go back and say, okay, so I didn't do this well. I need to go back and fix that. And then I'll do it tomorrow. And I'm going to do all of these things. And that's going to be my new habit. I can't just check things off to check them off anymore.
I mean, fear is a drug, like without any doubt. It's probably one of the most powerful drugs that are out there. You know, if you continue to take it and allow it into your veins and your mind and your body all day long, like you are going to end up on the couch doing nothing but watching Netflix. And again, we've both been there. Like, so we totally get that, right? No judgment. But Angela's right. Like, you know, even if the next day you do one thing, brush your teeth, put on makeup, do your hair, talk to a potential client, go to the grocery store, that's a win. You just can't stay in that fear cycle. Something else that I heard at that conference that really stuck out to me was sometimes you have to take action before the feelings.
Yeah.
And that I think is super powerful, because sometimes you do feel like a failure and you do feel like everything's a mess and you do feel like everything's hopeless, and you do not, like, no matter what you do, I don't care what you take, where you go, who you hang out with, how much gratitude you have, like you can't pull yourself out of that. Sometimes you have to do the action, like Angela said, in order to feel any type of relief from fear. So getting into action, regardless of what it is, super powerful.
Yeah.
I think, for sure. But the other thing is, listen, man, it's been a rough couple of years. If anyone's going through failure that is lasting too long or is super dark and heavy, go see someone and get help. I mean, Angela and I both take antidepressants proudly. Big proponent of doing, what you need to do for yourself and your mental health. And you're all you've got at the end of the day. So you got to take care of yourself. Your
This time
business
of year is a really good time to fill your heart with the good stuff and your mind with the good stuff and make some really good memories right now instead of being terrified of what's happening at work. Like this should be a time where you're, spending time with your family, and those are the things that help me fill up that tank that lets me get through the next 3-4 months of not having a day off if I choose to do that. But this is the time that you have to fill that back up. And if you're not filling that back up, you're not going to be worth shit to anybody come January.
I think that your storefront in real estate is uniquely you. That's unlike any other business in the world, right? So like if you own a restaurant, your restaurant isn't doing well, you're probably going to call in all your staff. You're going to clean the counters, talk to the chef about making better food, right? Like bring in some music, make a special, whatever. If the mall, if your store isn't doing well, you make a sale or you make a new product. Like we are our storefront and our product. And if we don't take care of ourselves, there is zero business.
Yeah.
And I know that's, I'm horrible at self-care. I know it's really tough to do, but I do think that that's something that we all need to make sure we're focusing on going into 2023, because again, this year this is going to be a big year. It's going to be a big year of big crazy, big emotions, big whatever the hell comes next. If you're not taking care of yourself in even really small ways, you're not going to succeed. Your storefront is going to go out of business,
Yeah. The next 2 weeks are like the calm before the storm. So you can either weather it or you won't. So enjoy your time that you've got. It might not be as crazy, but just plan a small vacation and you're going to be busier than you know what to do with. So just get away for a few days. Even if you're going up to the mountains or something, taking a drive, whatever, just get away for a day or two. Take your family to go see Christmas lights, something.
Yeah,
Something.
absolutely. Fill your cup back up, right? Because you can't. So much of this business, I don't know. What do you think? 80, 90, 100% of this business is mental?
Oh, yeah.
All of it?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like all of it's mental.
I think so too, honestly. So, this isn't like we are not doctors that have to have like well-formed hands in order to do surgery. So, we're not lawyers that get up every day and practice our closing statements to save people's lives. It's a hard job. I'm not saying it's not. I've been dealing with the craziest transaction you have ever heard of for 90 days, and I'm about ready to jump off my roof head first. But so it is hard, but it's also not that hard compared to a lot of things. So, I think that we just need to calm down, take a breather, get some perspective, focus on taking care of ourselves, and the rest will come. And realize too, you're sitting in the hardest part of the whole year right now. Like now through maybe the first to second week of January, probably you're not going to have any results on anything that you're doing. Unless you somehow happen to run across a buyer or seller that has an emergency situation, you're probably not going to see immediate results in your business over the next, I'd say 4 weeks. You can't stop doing the business because that means that after that 4-week period is over, you're not going to have any business as you go into the new year. But you need to be aware that it is pretty quiet right now. So don't let yourself get super upset. Don't let yourself quit if you don't have results in the next 2 weeks, because it's hard to get results right now. But like Angela said, then put other stuff on your to-do list. Just get in action doing anything.
Yeah. Make a list every morning if you need to, if you're a list person, start checking those things off. But when you check them off, make sure that you're checking them off properly and completely instead of half-assing it.
I think that we also need to pare down on the new year, new me bullshit personally, because I think that that's insane.
Yeah.
I think it's way too much pressure for people. You're already going through hard stuff. You're thinking about the gym and the this and I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like we all need to maybe pick 1 to 2 commitments, maybe one personal, one professional, and do them.
A lot of those things are going to become distractions for people. I would focus on what's most important to you and your family. For me, it'll be my businesses, and spending more time with my kids this year. I'm not going to, I've had a gym membership now, I think, to Villa Sport for 2 years, and I've gone maybe 3 times. So I feel like that's a really stupid thing to have.
Doesn't it just feel like another failure? Like a resolution is literally setting yourself up for failure. And the hilarious part is like, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but like absolutely nothing fucking magical happens when the clock rolls over to January 1st. Nothing. Like
Wait for it.
nothing happens in the universe. Like somebody at some point in history made up an end of a calendar, but we're all doing the same shit every year after year after year. So this need to like pile all these extra pressures onto your plate just because it's the first of the year is total crap. Don't do that to yourself right now. Like, I just think that's awful. I'm going to try really hard to just pick up little things.
Sets you up for failure, right? It's like almost like you're a glutton for punishment. Like you want yourself to fail or something. Like, oh, here's another like 10 things that I'm going to do. I'm absolutely going to do them. How the fuck are you going to do all of those things? Like, that's too much pressure.
You're going to fail. And then we put shit on our plate that we know we're going to fail at. And then we wonder why we feel like failures.
Right.
We need to stop doing that.
I'm just trying to be better than I was yesterday. That's all.
I'm just trying to get through every day feeling as much good as I can, man. That's like where I'm at, like just ending every day feeling like I did something. I don't know, or like I have joy or but I just think that's way too much pressure. Like I'm going to try really hard to pick 1 or 2 things and stick to them. 1 personal, 1 professional, and not do any of the rest of that crap. And if I gain 20 pounds, cool. And if I lose 20 pounds, cooler. But I just don't think with the last few years that we've been through and what's going to maybe happen in 2023 that it's smart to add all this extra crap and basically setting up a failure for ourselves.
Right. Choose resolutions if you do those that will help you thrive instead of force a failure. Because you don't need any more of that right now.
Totally agree. Yeah. And maybe make yourself an easier to-do list.
Yeah.
Like put some shit on there that you can accomplish. So that, I started using Angela's Android. She's like the last holdout in the United States, so she can't help us. I just started using, I saw this TikTok. Let me see if I can find it and put it up in the chat. This dude on TikTok randomly posted this video of how he organizes his to-do list. And I swear to God, it's changed my life. And it's so stupid. But the way that he categorizes things, and he's literally just using the Apple Reminders app, which like, I can't even tell you guys how much money I've spent over the years on like fucking planners, special apps that like shake my bed in the morning and wake me up when I'm supposed to do something, like I have all the money into all the productivity things. And this is so simple and stupid, but I think one of the psychologically most important things about it is the stupid free reminders app catalogs what you cross off your list. And every day, all he says his goal is to fill up a list and then empty it. And that's it. Like, it doesn't even matter what the tasks are at the end of it. And then at the end of every day, when he's going to bed, he looks through everything he crossed off his list. Like, isn't that an amazing way to think about you're not failing? You are doing things. The world is in chaos around you, but you're not a failure. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have that on Android. So
probably have some ghetto Android version of it, but
the other person that has an Android has to call me and I'll help you check it off your list.
Yeah, right. Exactly. To-do list resolution number 1 for 2023, get an iPhone like the rest of the fucking world. Okay, I'm going to put that up in the chat if anyone's interested in looking at that, because like I said, I thought that was really cool. But yeah, I mean, Angela, do you have anything that you're really committing to focusing on going into 2023 that you feel like is going to move the needle on your business forward?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I am the cause of holding certain parts of business or certain businesses back, and I'm going to take more of a step back and, empower people that I hire to take over more responsibility. So I can do more shit and build more things. Not that I'm going to take any time off. I'm just going to focus my energy more on things that I really just want to do. And, it's been a long time since I've, been happy with what I've been doing. And now I found something that really I enjoy. And so I'm going to do more of that. So
I'm going to poke at you for a second. A, I know you. And B, if I was a therapist or a betting woman, I would guess, because it's similar to me, that deep-seated need to stay busy and running all the time does actually come from either a desperate need for love, that's my thing, or failure, or whatever it is in you, and you're outrunning it. And that's what a lot of high drivers do. That's what I do. That's what pretty much every high driver I know does. They're outrunning something. You're outrunning it by doing what I just talked about in that dumb TikTok video. Like, you're literally piling your list so high with shit to do that at the end of the day, you know you're not a failure. You know you're lovable because you did the things, right? So like in the beginning when you're starting out, and especially if you're not naturally like that high D driven personality, you may have to fill up your to-do list with bullshit, especially if you're not busy. Take the dog for a 10-minute walk. Do 12 sit-ups. I don't know that it really matters what you're doing as long as you're doing something.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's how you learned how to run that too.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's probably accurate.
I'm going to focus on, well, I'm going to get back to doing client events because I've really missed doing those during COVID. And that was always a huge part of my business. And I'm so social and I really miss my people. So I think that's going to be one thing I'm focusing on for 2023 is hopefully we're allowed to do things like that again still. And I'm going to focus on doing that. And to be honest with you, I haven't really spent that much time thinking about what else. Honestly, this year, I'm trying really hard to not let the passing of the year be such a big deal. I'm really excited that it's going to be a new year because 2022 was weird. I had a lot of really crazy, sad, bad stuff happen. But I'm also really just trying not to put that pressure on myself.
Yeah.
So I'm going into it going like, yes, there's going to be certain action items that I'm committed to focusing on, but I'm not going to be like new year, new me. Dude, I'm 39 years old. I'm me. Good fucking luck to all of you that have to live with me, right? Like sometimes my weight swings approximately 10 or 15 pounds up and down. I'm never going to be real thin. I've been this way my whole fucking life. I'm a night owl. I don't like mornings. I'm not fucking waking up at 5 a.m. Like none of that is going on my list for 2020. Do you feel the same way or are you piling your resolutions with a bunch of crap?
Honestly, my only resolution for this year is to try and enjoy real estate again because I fucking hate it. It has sucked the life out of me the last couple of months, really a year, like to the point where I try and avoid it and make excuses for not wanting to do it. I'm really, really, really good at it, but it feels like work to me and it didn't used to. And so figuring out why that is, and why I stopped being passionate about it and figure out how to get back to enjoying it every day. That's my only resolution. That's it.
Keep it simple. Let's keep it simple, man. Let's keep it simple. Let's know that 2023 is a year where like, let's just go into it knowing the unknown is going to happen. Like the floor is lava in 2023. That's what you should prepare yourself for. We don't know if it's going to be like hot molten lava or if it's going to be dried over so you can walk on it lava yet, but it's going to be fire. So, you know, it's either going to be a year of incredible highs or incredible lows. And again, like in our business, we're completely in control of that. We don't have a boss that makes us get up every single day and do the things that we're supposed to do. We don't have metrics that are defined by someone else that say whether or not we get a raise, a promotion, or get fired. Like we are completely in control of our own destinies here. And that is really powerful and really scary. So,
and if you're having a really bad day, there's a really easy way to pull yourself out of it. You just got to shake yourself and you have to remind yourself that it's up to you. It's completely up to you how you decide to react to what the day is giving you. And you can either have a shit day or you can have a good day. Even if you've had bad shit happen to you, doesn't mean it's going to be a bad day or a bad week. It's just a bad thing that happened in the grand scheme of things. So the mindset is really, really, really important. Not just daily, but, you know, all the time. Like you have to have a good mindset, not just when you wake up in the morning, but all day long. Because otherwise that fear will start to creep in, right? And the, you know, I'm a failure and the bad thoughts and the, you know, being mean to yourself, all that shit is going to affect your day and affect your success and affect your mood. And if you don't allow it anymore and you put your foot down and say, I'm not going to be that person, I'm not going to let those thoughts come in, that's totally up to you and you can control that.
And it's a shit snowball. The same way that good things snowball in your life, bad stuff snowballs too. And you can even manifest that stuff in your life, right? By like dwelling too long. The opposite of what I said about gratitude, if you're spending all your time thinking about your failures and all the lack and bad stuff that's happening, you attract what you put out. So you're going to attract more negative people, more bad stuff, and you're like, why does this keep happening to me? If you're in a negative state, you're pulling negative stuff to you, right? And again, my favorite thing that you said this whole time, Angela, was you can have a bad day. You can have a couple bad days. You cannot have a bad life. At some point, only you is coming for you, and you have to choose to get your ass up off the couch and do something about it. And start small. Like, turn off the scary movies, turn off the weird shit, definitely turn off the news. Turn on, again, go back. Our podcast is it's like hundreds of hours worth of free learning from literally the best agents across the country that charge thousands of dollars to be with you for 5 minutes. Or you'd have to pay thousands of dollars for a ticket to go see someone talk like that on stage. And they're more candid with us because they're not speaking to a whole room. So go listen to our show, go listen to other good podcasts, turn off the true crime. Yeah. Nobody needs to hear about murder right now. Just that feeling that you feel, I'm trying to think of how to say this, over Christmas when it's the holidays and it could snow 47 feet on your head. And instead of being like, fuck, I have to go out to the grocery, you go, it's so magical.
Right.
And when your children wake up on Christmas morning and they're running around like psychotic animals, you're like, they're so excited. They have so much Christmas spirit. Like, try to put that into your life. And I realize that that's very hard to do when you're in a bad place. And we have that time too. But, it is a magical season. I guarantee you that if you sat down today and thought about it, you could definitely write down a few things that you're grateful for. That you could put in front of you to look at all day long and take some pressure off yourself and like, let's go do 2023. I have no idea what it's going to be like, but I know that we can choose that it can be a success. And by the way, if you fucking fail at real estate, if you're one of those 600,000 agents that quits in 2023, if you don't make a dime, you're not a failure. So take that shit off your plate too. Stop listening to anyone telling you how much production to do. Stop. If you're at a brokerage where all they give a shit about is how many deals, how much volume you're doing, leave.
Yeah.
Like, run. That destroyed my life for decades, right? Like, if you're around people that aren't good for you, just walk out, dude. Like, you control all of it. This is your fucking life. Yep. 2023 is your year if you choose it to be. Just go live it. Mm-hmm. I think I always do a word of the year instead of like making a resolution, and I have two for this year, and they're kind of the same word. So they're always some big. I talk a lot. There was some big fucking dictionary word. This year it's yes. That's literally my word. Yes, and brave, because I just want to say yes to everything that's presented to me because I have no idea where that will take me in my life, and I want to be open. And I want to be brave enough to do it. And that's all I give a shit about. That's it.
Yeah. I don't have like a word or whatever. I have like a habit that I'm trying to do more of. And people are going to think this is really fucking dumb, but I mean, try it and see if it works for you. It's worked for me. It makes me happier. I'm just trying to make myself happier. And the way that I do that is instead of spending $8 on fucking Starbucks every morning, I spend $1.50 at McDonald's and I get myself a hot fudge sundae.
I love this. Oh my God. Everyone needs to be more like Angela. New year, new me, lose 20 pounds. No, go fucking hot fudge and make yourself happy.
Hot fudge sundae. When their ice cream machine is working, that's like, just sit there and eat a hot fudge sundae and think about your day and what else you have on your plate. And you can't be mad if you're having a hot fudge sundae. You just can't. So, but like drinking coffee like makes me more angry for some reason. So I don't do that anymore. I just go and I get a hot fudge sundae at McDonald's, and I sit in a place that has a nice view, and I think about what I've got on my list yet for the day and what I've already accomplished, and then I go finish it. That's it.
I absolutely love that. Mine's also kind of weird. I call it solo sushi. So I love sushi, and I love to go to the sushi restaurant by myself because no one talks to me outside of taking my order, which at this point they know by heart when I walk in, and it's super chill. And honestly, I watch shit reality television on my phone for an hour while I zone out and eat good food. And then I leave and I feel like more peaceful. So like, lay off the pressure, the world is going to chew you the fuck up and spit you out, especially going into 2023. It will be one of the, like that person at the conference said, the biggest year of everything. The biggest year of, oh, this is a problem and this is a fear and this, depression and sadness and anger and school shootings. And like, there is so much that's already dragging you down. You don't need to destroy yourself on top of it. And listen, for women, hardest fucking thing you'll ever do in your whole life. Good luck. I have not mastered it. I don't know a single woman who has, but give yourself permission to lay off yourself and go into this year doing whatever makes you feel powerful and happy.
Yep.
And your business will come. If you're powerful and you're happy and you're doing the things, you're going to talk to more people. They're going to like you more. You're going to like them more. You're going to be out and about doing the things, No one ever picked up a lead at the grocery store. If you're in a mood like me, where I was a couple weeks ago, where I was in like the same set of pajamas for like 18 straight days, calling Instacart and literally not even asking my driver to ring the doorbell and just saying like, drop it on the front porch. Don't talk to me. I'm not home. Right? Like, go out into the world and do things, and you're going to naturally come across more business. Get into action, and you'll be able to take more action to get business. Like, literally, there have been times in my life where I have my only to-do list on the list every day, and it was painful. Like, I almost couldn't do it. I'm sure there were days I couldn't do it. Was to get up and walk in the sunshine for 15 minutes. And at the end of that, like, it was so hard to do that because I was in a really dark, really bad place. But at the end of that, I was able to do other things. Like, that's what's crazy is I got up, I took action, and then other action was easier because that's a snowball too. So I know that's a really weird podcast about real estate and how we're supposed to do better in the real estate world next year, but you are your business. If you don't get yourself together, your business is never going to be together. And also, I'm just sad for everyone that's struggling right now. So reach out if you need a friend, a lifeline, an antidepressant,
or a hot fudge sundae,
a book, some sushi.
Yeah.
We love you guys. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Angela and Lindsay would love to receive your real estate referrals in Colorado. Connect with the Homegirls on social media at The Real Homegirls Podcast.